Welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. So today I wanted to speak to you guys about the higher self, okay? Now, this is a very complex idea, and we can only get so far when looking from a human lens. So a lot of this stuff is from my guides, a lot of this stuff is from other practitioners of this art, be that mystics, sages, different people that I've worked with and trained with. I'm going to learn the technology required in terms of making sure that I can, most optimize this work. Basically, when we first begun Primal Sutra, we started to understand something, that there were darker parts of ourselves, or shadows, and lighter parts of ourselves, or, higher up. What we understood is the only way to get to the top of the ladder, we have to first of all acknowledge what's going on underground, okay? So you know how we have this word, the underworld. What would be the opposite of the underworld? Would be the oversoul, okay? The oversoul is closest to the sixth density, and it's almost related to even beyond the Big Bang, right? It's like where everything goes into eternity, or source consciousness, right? Your higher self is said to be like 600 times bigger than you, okay? So understand that first and foremost, that if you were to, basically it would be like the size of like Tinkerbell or something like that, would be you compared to the oversoul, right? You would probably be like this tiny, right? On my pinky finger, I'm just saying. Like that's the dimensions. Seriously, I need to move to a location where there's not that much noise. Anyway, you have the higher self, and usually what happens is the higher self gives you a specific archetype that you most resonate with in this lifetime. I've gotten the archetype of like the gatekeeper in a sense. So there's different archetypes, the main ones for masculine archetypes: king, warrior, magician, lover. Very interesting, because Padmasambhava, which is someone that we really look towards for further guidance, he has all of those archetypes in one, okay? He's a king, he's a warrior, he's a magician, and he's a lover at the same time. Now, it's important that that's very multidimensional, but usually you will have a main one that really guides you, like a main overarching archetype, right? That guides you towards your best self or your higher self, or, some people use these words interchangeably, like higher self or best self, or, the oversoul is just another way of saying higher self, because, it's kind of, we love to categorize and simplify things as humans, whereas this thing gets very, very nuanced and complicated if you really dive into it. I'm going to try to simplify it as much as possible for you guys. Think of your higher self as a guiding principle, okay? If you think of our energy centers upwards, there's Soul Star, there's the intergalactic gateway, okay? There's a lot of them that take you into aspects of that higher self, right? So it's like different rungs of the ladder until you get to infinity. One thing that I love to do is I put my hands in prayer like this. And what I'll do is I'll imagine that energy entering my crown, and as I'm doing that, I will make decisions. I'll make very conscious decisions based on my super conscious activation, if that makes sense, okay? Let's say that I want to buy a new shirt, right? I would give my subconscious mind the dimensions of the shirt, the price, the outline, the budget, the style, but whatever it is. Like there's this vague idea of what I want it to be like. And then as I'm shopping, I'm kind of allowing my higher self to go through the catalog, or go through, the different things that are there, and just kind of test whether I'm being pulled towards it or pulled away from it. You could also do muscle testing to check that out. But I would ultimately get you to try and trust yourself, right? In moments where, let's say right before you're eating, you tune into this. Right before you're about to do something important, like give a presentation or speech, you tune into this. And the more you start doing this, you start being more decisive. The one thing I've noticed with spiritual people is we can't make decisions. It's very difficult for us to decide something, okay? We go back and forth with something. But when you have that power to decide, you change your understanding, your sovereignty, but also you change your wealth dynamics, right? If you can decide things and move with the speed of actual wealth expansion, like, you're gonna be unstoppable, right? But it's like we tend to overthink and be indecisive or be in that liminal gray area. We're kind of in a situation that may be in the unknown because we're working with the unknown, right? We're working with things that aren't maybe 100% scientifically proven yet, and so we have to use our own intuition in order to make this thing work for us. There is a cash flow meditation that I send out to a lot of my clients. If you're interested in that, let me know. Basically, it does connect you with your higher self as well, in terms of it helping you to get rid of any blocks. So if you're interested in that, I can definitely shoot that over to you, and maybe for a payment of something. You can just donate something to me, it doesn't matter. Yeah, ultimately this is definitely going to change your world, okay? Change your worldview, change how you perceive things. The thing about the higher self is it's clearer perception, right? Like, for me, being the gatekeeper, like, I have certain responsibilities. Like, I have to keep exploring flow state wisdom. It's not like forced upon me, but I feel like the higher self knows your capacity and your potential is infinite, and so it will try to stretch you and push you into different directions, right? You will notice when you're being pulled by your higher self by this feeling of, why is this thing in my mind? Why is this thing in my mind? Okay, that is what I would call spiritual attachment. Okay, so let's say that a specific memory or an event is like showing up again and again. That means it's spiritually locked. Okay, so you need to, as the gatekeeper, I open the locks, right? So my mission on this planet is to be a remover of obstacles, so different obstacles, or different things that are stopping people, or basically roadblocks, right? Things that are holding people back from their launching forward into the flow state. And one thing that I've observed through working with that higher self archetype is I need to understand where the lock formed in the first place. You get what I'm saying? So it could be a lock that's like in childhood, and I have to go back, way back, and start to explore that in order for it to even crank open. You see what I'm saying? So I know that's very metaphorical, but you will find a theme of your higher self that will come through in the form of an archetype. Let's say let's take the warrior, for example, right? Now you as a warrior, and you understand that the warrior archetype is your higher self. Now what you want to do is you want to basically bring through that understanding. It's best to do it through putting your palms together. I know this is a universal sign of prayer. However, we're not really praying. This is more so we're putting out the antenna for connection to happen and take place through this pillar of light. Okay, so I want you to think of it like that. You can't strategize your way into the higher self, right? It is something that you must use love, acceptance, forgiveness, devotion to even get to that level, right? But what if there are negative parts of you too, your lower self, okay? What if there's a version of you in the fourth density octave lower that is like a reptilian energy, or a very dark type of energy, right? I know that Rasputin's energy is kind of related to that. But we have darker aspects of ourselves too that we've got to confront and see and understand that, hey, maybe my anger is coming from here, a lower part of myself, right? And I think I'm getting angry here on this physical realm, but really there's something else that might be influencing what's happening in my life that I can't really see, okay? Now this is often the case, so it's good to do shadow work and explore this kind of thing as well. A lot of things to think about, but it's really, really important that we come together and start to understand. Now, I haven't made direct contact with my higher self. I kind of have a vague idea around it, and I'm based to work around that. Like, I know I see certain images of him where I kind of understand what he looks like, and again, I'm trying to bring that reality through into my physical reality as much as I can, or try to. However, they have a plan for you that's way greater than anything that you can possibly imagine, okay? So you have to trust. You have to trust in yourself. You trust in the guidance that the universe is bringing you, okay, ultimately. Because that is what is going to bring you towards your greatest expansion, okay? Let's talk further about this. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Hit that subscribe button.